and his queen, Elena. From their kingdom high above, they oversee and maintain the harmony of the forest below for the fairies, pixies, and all the forest animals. The magical beings of the forest live a happy life amongst the beautiful greenery in their pretty little homes in the trees. However, it came to pass that these happy and peaceful days of the long summer were coming to an end. Lady Moon, who flooded each night in the forest with her magical silver light, was now ellipsing and waning on her journey to a distant part of the heavens. Lady Moon, who had shone her magical silvery light through the trees upon them for the last 3 centuries, her light now becoming only a faint, distant glimmer in the night sky. The time of the long night was beginning. The days now consisting of only a few short hours of daylight, under the fading, dappled sunlight through the trees, the fairies, pixies, and woodland creatures were able to go about their daily lives. But now, as the nights were growing longer, the forest began to turn into a dark and mysterious place. Lady Moon, now so distant that only a faint glimmer of misty light crept into the forest from far away, leaving the forest full of dark shadows and sinister noises, making room for the gremlins to creep out of their dark hollows and caves. The fairies and little animals were afraid of the dark and the evil night creatures, and kept themselves huddled together in their little tree houses and burrows. The elves in their high castles became concerned when they saw the dark forest down below, and they feared for their fairy citizens. It had been 3 centuries since the last long night, and they needed to consult their elf histories for a solution. Galea, the elven princess, was a bright young scholar and spent many hours in the high library in the tower, perusing over old books and manuscripts. Galea had heard about a mysterious, magical book called the Book of Light, which was needed to restore magical light to the fantasy forest in times of the long night. She searched the library for many days until at last she found it. The book explained how to bring magical particles of light to the forest during the long night to maintain the happiness of its creatures. However, the only way for the book to bring forth its magical light was for it to be in the hands of the last elf to be born during the last long night, 3 centuries ago. Galea asked her father, King Eron, to look at the book and asked if he knew who this last elf could be. As it is known, all elves live unto a great age, and this elf must now be 3 centuries old. Gerwan consulted the registers of his citizens and found the name of the last birth during the last long night. It was that of Eron of High Cloud Castle. Echo the messenger owl was sent to summon Eron to the king from her castle. Eron travelled to the castle of King Gerwan and was taken through the Golden Gate up to the tower housing the great library. She ascended the huge staircase that wrapped around and round the tree up into the high library. She was like all of the elves, tall, graceful and beautiful, with flowing silver hair. When entering the library, Galea gave her the Book of Light. It was waiting for her touch. Even at her presence, the book began to glow. And indeed, upon her touch, it began to twinkle and emit a beautiful light. The pages crackled with a fiery golden light. As she held the book and gazed into its pages, a ball of light began to grow in her hands. The ball of light shimmered into 1,000 coloured particles that danced around the room before flying out of the tall window into the dark night sky and down to the forest below. The lights touched everything in their path, illuminating them with beautiful fluorescent lights. When the fairies saw the dancing lights, they cautiously crept outside and marvelled at what was happening. They played and danced in the magically lit forest amongst the glowing flowers, butterflies and birds. They smiled and sang with newfound happiness and safety. They were no longer afraid of the night, as the forest now glowed and twinkled with magical lights. The gremlins grumbled and winced at the lights and shrank back into their caves and underground tunnels. And so it was that life continued in a peaceful, safe and happy way in the fantasy forest during the time of the long night. Its residents bathed in the colourful glow of the Book of Light.